What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Bulls Without Borders. Specifically, this is the fan hot take episode that I bring to you guys once a week. We took a couple of weeks off with the draft and everything going on. Not gonna lie, I've had a lot going on, but nonetheless, we are back to talk about your fan hot takes. If you guys want to be involved in this episode, I'm going to drop on Twitter every single Tuesday the hot take post, and you guys can comment under it on Twitter. All you got to do is follow me on Twitter at Bull Central Pod on Twitter. You drop your fan hot takes. We can hear from all of you guys. But with that said, this episode is built around completely your hot takes. So let's go ahead and get into them. The first hot take that we got, this one comes from Pete Chapman that says, Noah Essengue and Dailyn Swain could both start the year playing mostly with G League minutes, and that's okay. It does not mean they're bad, and fans need to prepare for that outcome without freaking out. Here's what I'll say in regards to this one. G League minutes are a developmental tool. That's what they're there for. They are there to help develop players. It does not mean that you are all of a sudden some terrible player if you go down to the G League. It does not mean that. Now, I will say that Dailyn Swain's summer league so far has not gotten the most confidence from players. Noah Essengue isn't necessarily as aggressive that you like to see him, but they both have flashed some things. I think Noah Essengue, specifically defensively, and his path to the roster is going to be switchable defense, rebounding, finishing around the rim, shot blocking. That's just basically playing with defense and energy. That's going to be how Noah Essengue can get into the game early on and get into the process for the Bulls. So I think that's really what you're looking at. If you get that done, it doesn't mean anything bad or anything like that. And even Dailyn Swain, Bulls fans have formed too big of strong opinions based off summer league in regard to it, and we're going to see. Now, I do think that Dailyn Swain, he may be needed, right? Even if he is struggling, when you look at it, the shooting guard position is very thin. It's Norman Powell, it's Isaac Okoro, and even if Trey Jones does play some minutes at the two, I think now when you look at this roster and how it's built and how much you always need a point guard creator out there, I don't know if he's going to play as many minutes out there. So I do think Dailyn Swain has the easier path to actual NBA minutes, where Noah Essengue could very well find himself in the G League again. They both could find themselves in the G League, and I don't think it's something terribly wrong with either one of them if you find that. Now, the hope is that they both come into training camp, they both play in preseason, and they earn themselves a role on this team in some shape, form, or fashion. You know, I think Noah, at being 19, probably could get the most out of it. Dailyn Swain did play in college. He was an upperclassman, so you look in regards to that one. But both of these guys playing some G League minutes isn't some deep take in regards to it. And I think sometimes fans can expect a little bit too much from young players right away, no matter what their draft position was. Some of these guys need development. Now, the Bulls are a developmental team right now, right? Like, that's reportedly the focus by this team is to develop. And so because of that, maybe these guys do get on these or get some minutes maybe earlier, even if they are struggling. So it can go a lot of different ways. We'll see. Immediate minutes don't always mean the same thing as developmental minutes. And so it depends on how the Bulls want to ebb and flow that, and that matters for them in regards to what they do. So we'll see. All right, let's get into the next hot take. This one comes from Migawara Pires, who says that Caleb Wilson or Matas Buzelis will be voted to the all-team second defense. Now, on the screen is going to say third team, but he meant second team. He corrected it in another one. And I'll say, listen, this is a big swing here, right? Like, Caleb Wilson being named to an all-defensive second team and any all-defensive team in his first year in the NBA would mean that he is going to be a defensive player of the year candidate when it's all said and done. Now, listen, all defense is a difficult thing to make. It's very difficult, especially for young forwards and young players overall. Caleb and Matas both have physical tools to become really disruptive defenders, but you have to be more than that to make an all-defensive team. You have to be a really good on-ball defender. Now, for Matas, he had some really good on-ball stats last year, whereas off-ball is the thing where it happened. Caleb is going to have to adjust to the physicality, the size, and the speed of the NBA game. There's always going to be some of that. But I think when you look at Caleb specifically, block steals, versatility, the ability to guard multiple positions, that could be the highlight for him to be able to make an all-defensive team. I think this is a wild hot take. I do think this is the spiciest take that we have of anybody, any take on the episode today. But I do love where it comes from. It comes from a place of seeing what these guys are capable of. And the fact that, not to count these guys out to show something that maybe people don't expect for them. They have length, they have activity, they're going to have defensive pressure. I do think this Bulls team is going to be a much better and more sound defensive team under Thiago Splitter as well. And so even though Matas has the more NBA familiarity, I do think Caleb Wilson is the more naturally talented defender. So listen, if both these guys or one of these guys make it, it'd be great. It'll mean a lot for the Chicago Bulls and their upside overall. Thiago's already talked about wanting to push Matas as a two-way player. I think that's going to be there. But you need ideally both these guys to become plus players. And if they both do that with their offensive upside as well, then the Bulls are cooking at the forward position if they're both able to do that. So, it's not about Caleb versus Matas. I think some fans have already started to make that. It's about what Caleb and Matas can become together, because I think there's tremendous upside on both these guys together, and we'll see where that's going to lead the team. Last hot take of the episode comes from Big O, who says, after looking at Jalen Sellers' defensive film and shooting, his hot take is the Sellers makes the roster and is in the rotation by Thanksgiving. Now, here's what I'll say in regards to it. It's a long uphill battle, and two-way players have a very difficult path. Now, in the two-way, you do have 65 games that you can play. Jalen Sellers also is a 2, the Bulls' most thin position, and he's a 3-level scorer. If his defense can be there, as like you said, being a disruptive defender, getting in pass lanes, being a good team defender, communicating, those type of things. If you can have defense and shooting, that's one of the easiest ways for a young player to crack the rotation. If you can guard multiple positions while hitting shots and playing off Josh Giddey and Trey Jones and offering some spacing and shooting, especially if Dailyn Swain struggles early, Thanksgiving may be a smart timeline, because it gives you a time period of him being a little bit in the G League. You go through training camp, you go through these type of things, and you could. He would be a cheap, useful rotational piece, and those are so valuable in rebuilds that it makes a big deal for it. Jalen Sellers is the type of player that can force a coach to take notice of him, and if you can defend, if you can hit open shots, and you can do those type of things, if you don't break the defense when you're on there, that is a big part for this team and a big thing of what this team needs, and we'll see. All right, we'll see. I've learned to not count anybody out. Despite what I think may be an uphill battle or not, I've just learned not to do that with players, because you never know what's going to happen in the NBA, and we'll see, right? But taking all these hot takes together, I think what this episode really says about Bulls fans is that they're trying to find a way to judge the rebuild right now, right? Not by wins, not by rookie minutes, not by that type of thing, but something that's still tangible without trying to attach it to a number of wins that teams are going to make, right? Or that the team is going to make. And so shout out to everybody who left a hot take on today's episode. We talked about a lot. Dailyn Swain, Noah Essengue being in the G League, where the Caleb or Matas can make an all-defensive second team. Jalen Sellers potentially being a player that can make the roster and crack the rotation by Thanksgiving. We'll see. But let me know what you guys think on all these hot takes down below. Which one do you think has the best chance of happening? Which one do you think is the craziest? And what are some of your hot takes in regards to the Bulls as well? I'd love to hear that as well down below. Let me know how you guys feel about all of this there. That's going to do it for today's episode. You guys can follow me at CEO Haize or at Bull Central Pod if you want to. We'll be back on Bulls Without Borders on Saturdays, where we'll be together as a team. Love you guys. Go Bulls. See red, y'all. Peace.